All right. Well, what's
What's
popping,
popping,
y'all?
y'all?
Happy
Happy Saturday.
Saturday. And
And
then
then
there
there
was
was
nine
nine
or
or
eight.
eight.
Nine,
Nine,
because
because
Kel's
Kel's
about to
about to
hop
hop
back
back on.
on. But it's good to
Good to
see
see
everybody
everybody
on.
on.
I'm
I'm
excited to
excited to
really
really
dive
dive
into
into
today's
today's
discussion.
discussion.
Y'all know
Y'all
the
know the
vibes.
vibes.
Our
Our
weekly
weekly
book
book
club
club
where
where
we
we
dive
dive
into
into
make
make
sure that
sure that
we're
we're
all
all
one growing
growing
intentionally,
intentionally,
and
and
then
then
two,
two,
really
really
sharpening
sharpening
our
our
skills
skills
and
and
our
our
tools
tools
within
within
our
our
tool
tool
belt
belt
so
so
that
that
we
we
can
can
go
go
and
and
win
win
in
in
all
all
different
different
areas
areas
of
of
life,
life,
not
not
just in
just in
entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship.
So,
So
with
with
that,
that,
y'all
y'all
know
know
the
the
book
book
we're
we're uh,
really reading
reading
and
and
diving
diving
right
right
now
now
is
is
Don't
Don't
Drop the
Drop the
Mic
Mic
by
by
TD
TD
Jakes.
Jakes.
We're going
We're
to be
going to be
covering
covering
chapters
chapter
2
two
along
along
with
with
chapters
chapters
3.
three.
I
I
am
am
excited
excited
for
for
this
this
one,
one, truly.
truly. So if
So if
anybody
anybody
wants
wants
to
to
take
take
the
the
honor
honor
of
of
starting
starting
first, you
first, you
got the
got the
floor.
floor.
I will go first because I
All
have
right,
to hop
man.
off
Appreciate you.
in a little bit. But I did really appreciate chapter 2, the fear factor, talking about like facing your fears and making sure that you're not. I don't have a lot to say, by the way, um, but really just facing your fears and facing your fear of speaking. Like you never know what somebody could miss out on if you don't like take your opportunity to be able to speak, like speak your truth and um, speak what it is that is on your heart. And then he was just talking about how, like, there's been plenty of times where he's been afraid or been scared, but he said that there's one thing that I really like that he said that I read the other day. Owning your fear is the first step to facing it and facing it to overcoming it. And I know for me, like in this particular season, the reason why I resonated with this a lot is because I'm like pushing myself to make like more and more content consistently, like every day as much as I can. And there are a lot of times where I don't feel um like I'm prepared like to speak or I'm prepared like to say like my truth or like to give a positive message about something. But I continue to push past that fear and like understand like no, like I'm a valuable person. I don't have to like have a extremely profound moment or an extremely profound thing to share for it not to be valuable. So that was one of the things that I got from this chapter. And I'm gonna call on Mama Mary next.
Fire.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gents. On to chapter 2. Definitely resonated with owning the fear factor because, speaking in public was not my thing. Just speaking to people was not my thing. And, he states in the chapter that we need to push through our fears the way David did with Goliath. Um, how how fear must never be the obstacle that blocks our development, our growth, our maturity. We should always, um, if we have the opportunity to speak, let it be known because um, not a lot of people want to speak in front of somebody and will want somebody else to do that for them. But a lot of the times, what you might have to say in public is what somebody might need to hear. Um, I know in the book, in chapter 2, he talks about, the obstacles that we might come about when we have to speak in public or just speak in general. Some people don't have that communication skills. And I was literally, I woke up pretty early this morning and I was listening to the interview with Stephen Furtick and TD Jakes, and they were talking about the book. And he talks about how the heart is not, when things don't come out correctly and you don't know how to communicate, the heart is not connected to your tongue. And it doesn't express what your heart is feeling. And I feel I had that. Yeah, it was a definitely powerful conversation. It was a really good one. It's about an hour if you guys want to go through and listen to it. Just anything that comes out of TD Jake's mouth is powerful, but he talks about, the obstacles that that David had when they went to go find when they went to go find uh well, actually, let me step back just a tad bit. In 1 Samuel 16:7, God sent his prophet Samuel to anoint Saul's successors. So he went out and sent him to Bethlehem, and he sent him to go look for the king of Israel, the next king of Bethlehem. I'm sorry. And he went from home to home, just looking to see who might fit, who God was wanting him to find. And God had told him, and I have it here. Hold on, let me go back to my page. God had told him, here we go. I'm sorry. It really resonated, and I liked it. But he said, I am on page 49. Oh my gosh, I lost it. I was not even on this page. But he talks about how the person who he's looking for is a man with a heart. And he wasn't even realizing that he had David in mind. He was a teenager. He was a shepherd. He had no skills. He
Hey,
had no
Mama.
military.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's page 43.
Oh, is it 43?
Yeah.
Why did I write 49? Yeah, you are right, son. And it said, do not consider the appearance of his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at his heart. That's 1 Samuel 16:7. So that was even the wrong verse. So I apologize. But I just really like how the person who God knew was a good fit, not everybody thought was a good fit for that battle. And it seems to be like that with life. You know what I mean? That's just life. And it's a good perspective to look at when you feel you might not be that person to do what was called to do, but God knows that you are that person to do that. So whether or not you have the correct or the right discernment to listen to God, to talk to you, to give you that courage to step on stage, really brings out how you act and how you move on faith. It talks about, of course, I kind of went into the right fit, getting into right fit and speaking to silence your fears. I had wrote down on page, it goes on to page 58 and 59. Hold on just a second. So page 59, overcoming your psychological reaction to fear of speaking requires hitting the pause button on your body's natural response, encountering with a physical habit, practice, and routine that helps you relax. It could be something simple by like just closing your eyes, taking deep breaths. Kelsey, you've been doing these morning breath works. And I know before we went into the hospital with Micah, they definitely helped, and that alone can possibly give you the courage to get up and do and go after the things that we think we might not be the right fit for. Unfortunately, chapter 4, I did not get to, so I would love to hear somebody's insight, but I will get caught up on chapter 4 today. So I want to go ahead. We're going to stick with the women on here. So let's go ahead and do Miss Michelle.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Mama. Um, so I love this book so much. It's so good. And I don't know which exact interviews. I was at work last night listening to a few different ones. It may have been the one you just mentioned, Mama, but I agree, man. TD Jakes, that man, there's just certain people like it's really all of us, right? That and he talks about that in chapter 2 that, he's given us all like the gift of utilizing our voice. And so when we don't, because naturally we're fearful or we get anxious, right? Our heart rate starts going up, our blood pressure starts going up, we blank out, we forget, or we're fearful of wanting to like deliver a message that is maybe in a sense like people pleasing, we get wrapped up in our head, right? Because you never know who is listening or who may be impacted. And so when you choose to be silent, you actually lose out on someone that you may be able to impact or whatever it was that he said. I'm sure I wrote down what he said, but and I thought, gosh, man, that's why he's so good, because he doesn't care. He's real. He's himself. He's not trying to imitate someone. He takes the different parts of people that he loves, or that different mentors that he looks up to, and he utilizes those in his speeches. But he is true to his core. He's true to himself, and that's like so good. I used to naturally like try to sound like my mom. Just growing up, like we were the kids that were in Target and Walmart, always behind our mom, and I've been talking about my mom a lot because like obviously she doesn't live in the same city as me, and like she's one of my best friends. But she would always be like, "Hey, get up out from behind me, y'all. First of all, I need to see where you're at, because we're in Target." She's like, "Get away, stop, like get from behind me and walk beside me or in front of me so I can see you." She's like, "But more importantly, don't step behind me. Always look in front of you." And I didn't understand that back then. And like, fast forward to like my adulthood, she was really trying to tell us like, don't drop the mic, stand out, but don't stand out for all the wrong reasons. When you speak, it's because like have substance, right? You don't have to be prepared and be all impactful all the time. Like sometimes it's like I don't know, it's crazy. Like I've had I'm a nurse, right? So I talk to people all the time, and sometimes I'm deliver a different type of message to a patient just very calmly, and sometimes I even whisper, and they're like, "Whoa, thank you so much." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, like no big deal, right?" And it's crazy because I'm just so thankful to my mom for that. I try to always speak up when I'm supposed to, right? Have the courage. Don't really necessarily care about what others think, right? But we do, right? Naturally, like that's human nature. Like, oh man, like I really just want to make sure like that they're gonna get value, right? But going into chapter 3, like know the needs of your audience prior to delivery. So read the room a little bit, if you're going to give a presentation, maybe do a poll or something and find out people's like, things that people fear or things that people need help with, or just things that the voids in people's lives. I was listening to Myron Golden talk about like the content creation, and he references the word all the time, which is why he is who he is. But it was so good. It was this morning too. I was like so exhausted at work, and he said God created us to create stuff, and he made us to make stuff, but more importantly, we were created to create and to connect. So the way when he first talks about it in Genesis, he talks about creating, in the beginning, he created heaven and earth, and why did he do that? Is because he was showing us that he is creative. And so use your voice, when you're, I too, Amber, in the middle of like recording all this content, and I think about it, and sometimes I get wrapped up in my head like, oh, hold on, I got to do it again. I'm not like a 2 or 3 taker, y'all. I don't. Like when I post a picture, I'm like, boop, filter, posting it. Like I've just always been like that. And I don't know why like this last couple of days, I'm like, oh wait, but let me like, and I'm like, bro, like, who cares? Stop worrying about what other people think, man. I don't care what people other think. But I do. But I do. So that's something I'm working on. And that's why this is so good and like such perfect timing. And the boys did such a good job in like picking this book. All the books, but especially lately, I feel like we're all in this like same frequency, same alignment. And so yeah, that was just my take on the last two chapters. Dylan's also reading this. And he's like a couple of nights ago, he's like, so good. And I'm like, so good. So anyway, that was my take on it. I'm gonna call on Donnie, the Don. Oh, I want to shout out that man because when I first met him, he kind of mentioned that like he had like not a fear of public speaking, but also like had a fear of his articulation of his words. And it shows that you are who you hang out with, because I've been listening on a few unlimited calls when I can, and this man, and I know everybody on here, like we're all like close, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like this man, his delivery of his message is so good, and it shows that he's been practicing, and it shows that I said to him the first time I met him, I'm like, that man leads with his heart. That's why he is who he is. And Marcus and Mikkel, I think I'm pretty sure I've told Marcus this before. Marcus was just like, yep, like, and he just like nods, and it like always like gets cheesy because it's so true. Like this man is really moving. And you can see it's very much apparent in just his growth. And so I wanted to give you your flowers, bro. And go Texans. I see your jersey. My gosh, this man Dylan has not stopped talking about it. I'm like, bro, let me give him his moment. But anyways, I love you guys.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I appreciate you, girl. Love you. And grateful for you. Grateful for all y'all. Because y'all have honestly allowed me to step into, grow in my communication, be myself. So in the second chapter, definitely definitely seeing where it is that there's growth to be had in communication, and one of which Marcus always helps me do so, especially in the leadership perspective, because um, yeah, I've seen right here when you know God, when you know you're doing what God compels you to do, when you know the truth of what motivates you, then you must not be deterred by your detractors. And a lot of times I know that I speak like I rebuke, and to rebuke is to uh, communicate what it is that you don't agree with and what negatively affects you. And so I've recently come to start rebuking a lot, and just like talking more, having that communication about the negatives and what it is that's bothering me or whatever. But in that, understanding how to communicate that, because I found myself sometimes like just speaking it and not really like breaking it down in a way that whoever it is that I'm talking to is able to understand in their perspective and not take offense. And so in chapter 2 as well, I highlighted when you use your voice to speak out, there will always be others who misinterpret your motives. Communicators with conviction will always make some people practically those who justify their own silence or inaction uncomfortable or angry. And so in that process, for example, if there's someone that says they're going to do something and they're not doing it um, for an extended period of time, and having that communication, or consistently holding them accountable um, to certain things, and just pushing them to grow, and in the presence that you hold, they tend to get uncomfortable when they know like they're not doing everything that they said they were going to do, or could do, or need to do. And um, I think, especially as I grow in the levels of leadership, uh, this book definitely helps with the communication and how to effectively communicate with um, your business partners, and people around you, because especially like with Marcus and I always talk about stepping into rooms and realizing and seeing and feeling the energy of people getting uncomfortable, just because of the way that we step, the way that we move, uh, because of everything that we got going on. And it all comes from God, because we know like God is moving, God is working, and just moving with that confidence. And like, yo, changing, having a change in perspective for a lot of people. So that comes down to preach, but don't preach, chapter 3. Um, and when it is that we are talking and looking to change those perspectives in other people, uh, there's a way to do so. And really, like I said in the beginning, breaking it down in the perspective that they understand, and really like coming down to people's level so that they understand, because if I'm talking with them rather than to them, because I think if we're like hold ourselves up here and consistently sit here try to talk to people, tend not to have open ears and listening, and then that doesn't allow them to understand what it is you're trying to communicate with them. So I think that's important in coming down to the level and talking with others to help them grow and change their perspective. But I appreciate everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this thing to um, Elsie. I don't know if you went. Also, Marcus is currently running a call. Me and him are on a call with the client. So, but Chelsea, go ahead.
Cool. Good morning, fam. Yeah, I was listening to the audios today for chapters 2 and 3, and they're pretty solid. From chapter 2, fear of speaking, I was talking to Marcus about this the other day. And I probably said it on a call before, when the first time he was like, "Hey, you want to do a Wednesday call?" I was like, "No, I don't. I do not want to." Like, and it was just because of, that fear of speaking. And I think for me personally, it came down to like, I didn't think that I had that value to give. And so I was like, a little bit of self-doubt in the beginning. But then kind of stepping into that and knowing like each one of us has um a ton of value to bring. And obviously everybody on squad sees that and knows that, but also knowing that like you also have value to bring to people outside of this space. And I think Donnie kind of touched on it too. A couple other people might have as well. But also the fear of speaking, but then also something I'm still working on is, like Donnie said, speaking up and having that courage to say something when you may not agree with something. Obviously, saying it in a respectful way, communicating it effectively, but not being afraid to speak up. I didn't even touch my watch. Why is she yelling? Sorry. But yeah, and a big thing that I took away from chapter 2 as well is start where you are, be who you are. And a big thing for me, and I don't remember who I was talking to the other day, Kevin, I think. And he was talking about how he wants to start doing some type of podcast thing too. And he's like, I have no idea what to talk about, where to start. And for me, anytime that I've spoken, whether it's the podcast stuff that Austin and I are doing, team calls, Instagrams, stuff like that, is a big thing to speak about stuff that just resonates with you, not going out there worrying about, you know, what do people want to hear? What do people, essentially that, what do people want to hear? Just speak on stuff that resonates with you, because more likely than not, number one, you're going to sound more confident because it's something that you are familiar with, may have had experiences with, and more likely than not, somebody else is going to find value in that same situation. And then chapter 3, preach but don't preach, really how to convey the message that you're trying to send out to people. Because I know, like, I say it all the time when Michelle talks, preach, but it's like there's a difference between that type and, like he said in the book, like, people don't like to be preached at. And that goes to what Donnie was talking about too. You want to resonate with people and have them feel like you're talking to them, but not at them. So again, kind of reiterating what Donnie said, knowing, and Michelle said it as well, knowing the type of audience that you're talking to, their needs specifically, you know, what is the group of people? Like, are you going to talk to a kindergarten class? Are you going to talk to entrepreneurs? Are you going to talk to, you know, a group of HR people? Like, you kind of have to know there, and then also what type of energy to bring with the same message. You know, if you're speaking to a group of entrepreneurs, more times you might need to be more high energy. And, you know, I was talking to Marcus and Amber the other day, and Matt Rosa is like a perfect example in my head, where if y'all were in Orlando, that dude was up and down screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs to get his message across. But then you can go look at like an Instagram live or something that he's done, and he could say a like similarly just as powerful message, talking in such a calm demeanor. So just kind of knowing the environment that you're in and what will best resonate with them. And then, yeah, I use outlines all the time. He talked about outlines or skeletons, really just to keep you on track and have you on those main bullet points that you know will be the most effective. And then also a big thing that I've gotten, you know, when I'm on one end of it, being the listener in the situation, is, you know, giving applicable steps, you know, within. It's great to write down information and stuff, but if you're not, even like on Instagram posts, or, you know, it's essentially a call to action, right? So if you're on live, if it's a post, good morning, Brooklyn. But giving people applicable actions that they can take to go and put the message that you worked hard to deliver, and, you know, give that impactful statement to then go apply it in their own situation. So that's what I took out of those 2 chapters. Tia, do you have anything? I know Donnie said Marcus was busy.
I literally was gonna share pretty much exactly what you said, Kels, about like sometimes I feel like I don't always have something to deliver that people that like I sometimes I feel like I don't have anything. Of course, when I have to talk, she gets right in my face, you guys. She knows when I'm about to talk. She's like, okay, let me be in the spotlight real quick. Say hi and then let mommy talk. Hi, Dawn. Oh, she's saying hi, Dawn. Mom, he's waving at you. But yeah, I was telling Marcus the other day, I was like, I'm so good one-on-one with people. And then it comes to a group setting and I literally choke on my words and I feel like I black out. I don't even remember what I say when I'm done. Marcus was like, how was the women's call? I'm like, it was great, but I have no idea what I said. I think I literally, I don't know what I even talked about. I was like, I feel like I've been in the background. I don't know if that's a good word for it, for so long that I don't really know how to, like, everybody, every time there's a call, I feel like everybody's so prepared for it. Like, when it comes to what they're saying, Kelsey's like, no. It feels so like, it feels authentic, but it also feels like, okay, these people had time and they like took the time to prepare. Like Mama Mary listening to, like interviews and like Michelle last night. I'm like, dude, how do you guys make time for this? Like, I literally feel like I have no time, but I think I just have to figure out how to make the time to be
In
intentional
the
about
shower.
like, okay,
In the shower.
in the shower. Dude, I literally was telling them, I was like, I don't even have time to wash my hair sometimes in the shower. Like, I don't know what I need to figure out how to make more time for myself, I think, because I definitely skimmed most of the chapters and I understand like what he's talking about. And like, this is the first time that I think I was reading while you guys were talking, but like, to have the connection of what he was talking about and then hear you guys talking about it, it makes so much more sense than every time when I'm on book club and I'm like, I don't know what these people are. But this time I was like, okay, I read that part. Like, this makes sense. Like, whatever. But I definitely think like, we always say like it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and the delivery is so important. And also, just like people want to see real, like they don't want to see like the fake scripted stuff. And when it comes to social media too, when you think about the people that you watch all the time or that you see their stuff, like you like seeing a part of their everyday life, not just like the good stuff or like the scripted easy stuff. So I think that it just made me change my perspective. And like when I am speaking, like I don't have to like always apologize being like, oh god, the kids, like people know already like what it is. So it's just like to just speak from the heart and just like convey the message I'm trying to say, because I do have a lot of stuff like that I've learned over the years and like value I want to give, but I feel like I can never figure out what words to put it into or like the platform to speak on it. I guess it's just like something I'm trying to figure out, but I think after reading this book, it's definitely going to like help me and shape how I'm going to communicate better with people and like convey the message instead of just being surface level, because it's easier to just say something quick, So yeah, that's what I got from it. I still have to finish chapter 3. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for speaking. I don't know if Marcus,
I did
is
want
he
to
still
say something real
talking?
quick.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to say real quick is like what you mentioned about like the calls and how it seems like everyone just shows up super prepared. So whenever I
Yeah.
first started, I felt that same way too. I was like, everyone is just ready to go. They're
it.
super sharp, right? And so then
Yeah.
I was like, my initial like come from, I guess, was like, okay, like I'm smart too. I can say something, I was like, I'm not prepared,
Yeah.
this and that. And then there was like, like lots of calls, and there were just times where I just was like out of tune. I just felt like I didn't have anything to say, but like I was trying to say something. And then I realized it was, I think Mama Mary said it. She said it like perfectly. Like whenever your heart and your mind are connected, that's when like you
Yeah.
can really get like a flowing, valuable message. And so with that, I had realized like okay, I was just speaking like from my mind. And just to be like very, very transparent with you, I feel like in the beginning I was like, it was my first time in a community in a long time. And I think part of me just wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel like, hey, I have something to say, And so after
Right.
a while, after that's like gone away, I started to observe, and I started to observe like Marcus and Michelle and Kelsey and all of y'all who are on these calls all the time. And I was like literally paying attention. And particularly I paid attention to Michelle because she's always like, we're always really, really busy, but I've seen Michelle on calls over and over and over and over and over and over again. And every single time she's like with it. And so I started to question, like ask like how, and then I started to realize the name of the game. They are extremely present every single time on the call, on the topic at hand, on the conversation in this very moment. And so I started to realize, I was like, oh, I don't need hours of preparation before. Just when I show up to this call, I need to be in the call, like in the conversation, in the flow of the conversation, and we'll flow together. I can't be like sitting here thinking like, okay, what am I going to say to them? I'm going to talk together. So that's how I've adapted to it. And it's really, really helped me. So every time like I get on a call, I'm just like, shut everything out like right here. And then whenever it's my turn to talk, I don't even just flow with whatever I had to say like right before I started talking. That's all I gotta say about that.
Donnie, let me use your phone. For a favor. Yo, my camera's not working on this computer. Did I miss my chance?
We can hear you, but we don't need
Nah,
to see you.
you're the last one, boss.
Okay, bet. Let's
Come
go.
get it.
I'm literally
Come
on
get
another call. I've been juggling a lot this morning, and I love y'all. Shout out the ladies.
Come get
Lead
it.
the
Come get it.
way. My gosh, y'all are absolutely inspirational. And I've definitely been tuning in and out. I'm gonna catch this recording. But listening to a lot of the gems you guys have been dropping and how impactful this book is. But I'm gonna keep it very short so that I can dive back into this call and help this woman out who is seeking some guidance in her business that she's wanting to really take to a next level. So I'm super excited and blessed about what it is that I've got to cover in here. Mom, I loved what it is you pointed out and Own the Fear Factor. Essentially because what was wild is I've been literally reading the first book of Samuel in the Bible. So it's kind of like wild how aligned all my readings have been in this time period as I am practicing what I've preached, having been in a valley type of season and chapter in my life. I've been really diving deep into myself and facing some fears that I never even knew I really understood I could overcome before. But with that being said, understanding that if you're not willing to risk letting others hear the sound of your voice, then none of those will be possible in terms of your dreams. Like, bro, I'm out here the most boldly I've ever been, talking about what it is I want, who it is I am, and what it is I'm doing to get to where I'm going. And I've literally been feeling fear eradicate from my life. And it's only been because God has proven time and time again that he's here for me. And I understand that one, I've been kind of understanding this. I heard it from Alex Harmozy, how like sadness can be healed through knowledge. If you understand more and you practice wisdom through application, then the sadness or the fear will subside. And it kind of like the first kind of quote, what the mind doesn't understand, it worships or fears, literally resonated with where I'm at right now. Like my mind has not been able to comprehend fully what has been going on, but I understand that I serve a God that moves beyond my understanding. So in that, I just really admired in this chapter, understanding how to speak, and speaking from your heart, essentially, because the Lord knows you by your heart, and most people of this world do not. They look for what most people look for, and that's what the outward, but the way that he bro, like it's so impactful, his word choices and like when he used them, because in that process he told us that when you have a God-given message to deliver, it may require you risk stepping on a few toes, declining what others offer, disappointing them, and potentially hurting their feelings and losing their support. And If anything, I've just been holding on to knowing that I need to repent and rebuke, meaning I need to own up to my faults and take full responsibility from where I'm wrong. And then I need to be honest in my communication immediately, not wait 6, 7, 8 months. I was just talking to my mom about this, but like literally speaking my mind, and whether or not we're literally taking steps, whether or not we're actively fully living in faith, whether or not we're being judgmental, whether or not we're being honest or caring for each other, whether or not there's even trust between where we're at. And I know that where it is we're going requires us to be so in tune with what God's saying, because he's literally been the one providing. So that's all I've been focusing on. So as I'm speaking the truth, because I know the truth is in his word, regardless of what other people think or say or feel, it's the truth. You have to be honest about it. You have to be genuine about it. And as he ended that chapter, and let your words land where they land. And you cannot fear what it is people receive, because at the end of the day, I control my intention behind what I say. I cannot control the intention you perceive or take it as, because most people view their world through their lens, not yours. So that's honestly allowed me to step into keeping it real, and being in that process of knowing that when it's your time, speak up, because if it's not said, it will not be heard. And at the end of the day, words have a power to create or destroy. And I've learned that if you withhold from saying their truth, you'll destroy what it is your truth is. No one knows. No one can read your mind, So words are powerful, and it allows us to really connect and grow together. And then going into chapter 3, preach but don't preach. I loved what he talked about aligning your attitude with your architecture. I was like, boy, quit playing. I was like, this man is literally on point. He says the key of preaching like an artist and not an antagonist begins with your attitude. As we touch on and we'll explore in chapters to come, identifying and connecting with your audience is essential. Who are you speaking with? How are your words moving them? And is it residing with the people that are actually listening? And if it isn't, you have to move. He also talked about fully understanding what it is that you're saying. Like if you know the needs of those that you're speaking with, and remember that preaching is not about preaching at someone, but conversing, expressing, sharing, and listening to those you wish to reach, you should spend your time in preparation, because that allows you to have the freedom to be spontaneous. I've learned this through experience. The more I prepared for team weekly calls, the more I prepared for speaking and conversations when they're just 2-on-1, 1-on-1, over the phone or FaceTime, the more I've prepared, I've been able to be flexible to meet my people where they're at, so that if the audience is feeling some type of way, I can spark and infuse life into the message, because people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. People do not remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And in that process, if you can invoke the emotion by actually allowing them to speak, like you speak with the authority of the truth because you know it's the truth, then you're able to move into the aspect of delivering the message in a more efficient way, so that people can understand exactly where you're at, where you're going. I think, to be completely transparent and honest, especially in this season and this chapter where TGF is at and where we're about to go, having some very genuine and real conversations are absolutely necessary. And the only way that we as an entire collective are going to be able to really serve the message and the purpose of why God has allowed us to get this far is to be real with one another and speak our minds, and then communicate in an effective way where we can both operate and collectively work together to help the person that knows absolutely nothing, the person that may have misunderstood everything that they've learned, the person that's never had a community to go and learn, develop, and grow with. And I just want to give everybody some flowers and commend everybody. Obviously there's a few people on this call, but everybody's been putting an effort. I've really seen it, and it's a process. You know what I'm saying? No one, At least for me, I was never taught growing up how to do what we're doing. They didn't have this class in school. So y'all just touched on the same thing. That's crazy. Okay, lit. But anyways, I am just grateful for y'all and I appreciate what we're doing collectively as a unit. Like I said, bro, I never allow the inaction or lack thereof of others to dictate how I move in my action. So y'all already know I'm gonna show up here every Saturday as long as I'm not dead or on an airplane or on a stage for some reason. But in that process, like I'm here, you know what I'm saying? I read the books because I understand that 98% of people understand what they need to read and won't do it. I understand that 98% of people will read the words and barely understand what it is that they're hearing because they're not being present. I understand all those things and I know that sometimes we're going to be the only personal development book that someone ever reads. We're going to be the only Bible that someone ever reads. So I've made the commitment to show up for myself because I'm showing up for my people in that process. And I'm just giving y'all some flowers because I'm proud of y'all for showing up for yourself as consistently as you have to start off an entire new year in the midst of facing some issues or situations and circumstances that started before the new year. You know what I'm saying? So with that, you guys are doing some beautiful things. And I look forward to continuously never dropping my mic in order to effectively move those that are inspired by it and allow those words to land where they may, so that those that understand and see the same truth can move in the same purpose. And I'm just grateful. Anyways, I love y'all. I believe everyone spoke. Can't wait to catch the recording. Next week, we're reading chapters 4 and 5. If y'all need me, call me, text me, or beat me. You know the vibes. Love you guys. Have a blessed Saturday.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
God bless.
So much.
Bye.
Hopefully hold on.